Good evening, friends. As you are aware, the commission came here this morning. I have with me my two colleagues, Mr. Sampath and Mr. Brahma. We normally start with a meeting with political parties, one party at a time. And we had a meeting with 5 political parties who came, 3 national parties and 2 state parties. They made some point, raised some issues, conveyed complaint, grievances, and they would have also spoken to you and told you what were their concerns. But for your benefit, I don't mind repeating them. Almost all parties mentioned about migrant workers being registered at 2 places, here and in their original state district. Many parties mentioned about dual citizenship, that some people have acquired another citizenship of one country or another country and still not renounce the Indian citizenship and continue to be voters. Then they also expressed concern about distribution of EPIC with correct entries, and we discussed with them the appointment of booth level agents, because if you want EPICs to be correct and the electoral roll to be up to date and correct, it is very important that the BLOs function properly, efficiently, and the booth level agents keep an eye on their activity to make sure that they are neutral. We understand that many parties have not even given the list of booth level agents, which they must now. Then use of black money and distribution of money, liquor and other goods of inducement were mentioned as a common problem in the state. And some parties said that that kind of distribution has already started. Then parties complain that lots of new posts are being created and will be filled up as a way of inducement of voters. They also expressed concern about paid news as a very rampant problem, and they also made suggestions about the dates of elections, which varied from January to May. So, and with various good reasons and logic which they gave in support of their suggestion. We assured them that we will review with officers all these concerns and take adequate measures in due course of time. Then we had a meeting with the officers, which is the district election officers, the 2 collectors, their SPs and EROs. When we mentioned all these concerns, and we told them that their neutrality is totally non-negotiable. Every officer is expected to be 100% neutral, and there will be zero tolerance for any partisanship. Any complaint that they are aligned with the candidate or with the party will land them in deep trouble. Then we told them about the correction of the electoral roll by identifying the duplicate voters or those migrant people who are maybe enrolled in their home states also. We will be issuing a press notice making it very clear that being enrolled at 2 places is a criminal offence, and if they consciously allow this to continue, there is a criminal case waiting for them. Then dual passport issue also we have discussed with the officers, and we will be getting a situation report and analysis from them quite soon. Then we have decided that this time the only identity card which will be allowed to the voters will be the EPIC, the elector's photo identity card which is issued by the Election Commission. No other document will be allowed. Unlike last time where 14 other alternative IDs were also allowed. We are quite close to it. Already 94-95% coverage has already happened, up from 70% or 75% just about eight months ago. So in 8 months, from 70% to 95% is a great coverage, and we will make sure that in the next 2 months this will become 100%. The only alternative ID which will be allowed is also something new, which you will also see for the first time, that we will be issuing voter slip ourselves. You know, the voter slip which is issued by the candidates or the parties, now there is no need for them to do so. We will be doing it ourselves. We tried it in Bihar, worked extremely well. Then we did it in all the 5 states which went to poll recently. It did extremely well, and now we have taken that decision. So only other alternative ID will be our own photo voter slip. So except for this, no other ID will be allowed. But we will make sure that nobody is left out. If even if a fraction of a population is left out from voter card, we cannot deny them the voting right. We will have a camp for them close to the election, a 2-3 day camp where they can come, and the last opportunity for them to collect their photo identity card. If they still don't come and take it, so God help them, then we cannot allow them to vote. Then we have told our officers to keep an eye on the distribution of liquor, the production, the storage, wherever it is, and also keep an eye on its movement, because this is something which requires advanced action, which will be done. We are also focusing on electoral roll updation context. We have found that 18 to 19-year-old young people, their enrollment has been very low in the past, only about 15%. We had done National Voters Day on 25th January, if some of you may remember. This was basically aimed at all those people who have become 18 on 1st of January, and they don't know that they have now become eligible. So we will have that campaign from in our door-to-door enrollment search, and we feel that their enrollment will have a substantial improvement. Finally, we had a meeting with the Chief Secretary and the Director General of Police, where we mentioned the vacancies, like there are some posts of RO or EROs vacant. They have to be filled up expeditiously. We also told them the concerns of the political parties, which I have mentioned to you earlier, including dual citizenship. Then we also again reminded them of our transfer policy, that we do not allow anybody in his home district. But since you are, say, there is a small state with 2 districts, in your case, relaxation is that nobody can be in the home subdivision. If somebody has been is in the home subdivision, has to go out. If somebody has been on a post, election related post for 3 years out of the last 4 years, he or she has to go. So this transfer policy also has been brought to the notice of the government, and even before the election dates are announced, whenever it happens, this policy should be implemented early enough, so that at the last minute, when transfers do take place, the officers do not get time to settle down and understand the area. So these are the proceedings of the day. If you have any questions, we will try to answer.
Mr. Qureshi, what are the election schedules you are looking at for the 5 states that are likely to go for elections? That's Goa, UP, Punjab, Manipur, Uttarakhand. What is more or less the election schedule you are looking at?
You know, these elections are due from, I think the earliest is probably Uttarakhand in February, Punjab is March, UP is mid-May, and Goa is, I think, first week of June or something. So, but all in a span of 4-5 months. So when 4-5 states go to poll together, then we do take a view how to club them, and how to, in what kind of phases to hold those elections. We do after a survey of all these states. We have been to all 4 states so far. This is the fifth and last state that we have visited, where we have taken the view of political parties and our own assessment. Now we will, when we go back, we will examine, take a call. Then we still have to do a lot of homework. For instance, we do collect the detailed examination schedule to the day, from this date to this date. We see the monsoon pattern. We see the harvesting season and the sowing season, the law and order problem, all other issues put together. It's too early to answer that question, but we will examine this in all its implications.
But one thing, is Goa government has mentioned that Goa will have the panchayat election in the month of April,
No.
in the month of second week of May.
No, government has not mentioned, but one party did mention today that panchayat elections are due in, I think, in April, and somebody said April, and their suggestion was, for that reason Vidhan Sabha election should be done earlier. But as I said, all parties had different suggestions to give with different reasons and logic. We have taken note of all that. So we will examine it in due course. It's too early for us to, it is only August, so we will decide in due course of time.
Same machinery in Goa, all the officers, they will be under pressure on this.
Yeah, we will take that into account. As I said, when we schedule an election, it may look so very simple to a lay person, but there's very deep consideration of, there are 7, 8, 9 criteria which we have to look into, of which 3, 4 I have mentioned. So we have to see all of them together, the festivals, the religious festivals, national holidays, etc., etc. So we will take everything into account, even in the panchayat election.
Sir, recently you have issued fresh guidelines to curb the problems like fake news.
Yeah.
How you will ensure that they will be effectively met, because you have set it ahead of 6 months ahead of the election.
Yeah.
You want that these guidelines should come into force. How you will see that they are implemented?
Well, paid news, as has been bothering everybody, and including us, the political parties, the media itself. But silver lining is that 95% of the media is also very upset with the paid news phenomenon. All the reporting journalists, working journalists, they are upset with it. It's only maybe the media houses, the owners, who are some media houses who are interested in this phenomenon. We had confronted this problem first time in Bihar, where we came up with some new guidelines, and the most prominent activity was that we set up an independent media monitoring committee at every district level, and also one at the state level. In the district level committee, it has like the district PRO and other information officers. We also have the Press Council of India to nominate a senior journalist or any journalist of their choice to be on this district panel. These panels kept a watch on the media, whether it was electronic or print, and whenever they came across a suspicious activity that this could be paid news, we issued notices. About 86 notices were issued in Bihar, and in almost all cases, the candidates came back and confessed that it was really paid news, and of course then they promised that they will put it in their expense register, which they did. But the matter does not end there. It's not just a question of accounting in the expenditure. There is also a ethical question and a legal question, whether voters have been taken for a ride, whether they have been deceived, whether there is an element of deception through paid news. So that is why we examine that legality also. Based on our Bihar experience, we enforce these guidelines in 5 states more vigorously, and we found that the incidence which came to our notice was much less. But we don't want to be taken in by that. There may be another reason. because in those states there are channels owned by the political parties themselves. They don't have to buy time on any other channel because they own the channel themselves. Now you've seen, you have read in the paper, 3 days ago we issued new guidelines. You're working on it. And what are those new guidelines? That there is an expenditure ceiling. In the case of Goa, for instance, it is 8 lakhs now. It used to be 5, now it is 8 lakhs for constituency. Now this money is candidate's own money. If a friend of his spent even 10 rupees without his permission, it is also put into that account. So if 10 lakh rupees or 20 lakh rupees worth of free time is given, so this upsets the expenditure ceiling. So even if it is free time by his own channel, after all 8 lakh rupees is also his own money. It only comes from his own account. So he cannot say that it is my own channel, I am doing it free. He is not supposed to spend beyond the expenditure ceiling. So the main point in these new guidelines is that the owner own channels, the time which they spend, after all we have the rate card. If they had sold it to somebody else, so this is the X amount. So that X amount will now be added to the expenditure, and so that there is level playing field. Otherwise, channel owner will exceed the limit by lakhs. He can do publicity worth 2 crores and say that only I spent only 8 lakhs. So that has to be shown in the expenditure.
But the action is only against the candidate, against politician. What about the newspaper, the channel, etc.? What action does one take against?
Well, you know, the Election Commission only has works under Representation of People Act. So we have power on this problem only through the candidate. And if candidate doesn't give the money, so what can the newspaper do? So unfortunately or fortunately, we have no control on the media as such. But otherwise, you know, we have been appealing to the media that they should not give a bad name to the profession, because it is a general concern of the people. For us, I have said it many times, maybe in Goa also last time, that media is our biggest friend and ally, our eyes and ears. For the simple reason that what we are trying to do is also what you are trying to do, in the sense that we send cameras to see what is happening on the ground. If there is a malpractice, we immediately take action. Suppose your camera is showing also some malpractice happening, and I see it on the TV or I read it in the paper. We have issued guidelines to our entire machinery that if you see something on the media, take it as a complaint. No formal orders will be given to you from the commission. This is an order that if you see something on the media, immediately take action. So that is what is happening, which is why we have been able to take some concrete steps. But the problem is complex, and we are working on it, and we hope that better sense will prevail.
Mr. Qureshi,
Sir, as far
I
as
wanted to
Oh, just one second, yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question. See, the pre-election period in Goa has started, okay? So now some of the candidates which they are spending so much lakhs of rupees or crores of rupees on their voters. So what action has been taken?
You know, you are right. Yeah, that is the point which political parties also made. Unfortunately, at this point of time, we can't do anything. We know it is happening. You know it is happening. So, but what can we do? Political parties, no, they complain. But legally, we cannot take any action. All that we do is we keep an eye, we keep a complete dossier, and when our writ begins, that is the time we try and see what we can do at that point of time. But at this time, legally, what can we do?
So as far as this filling of vacancies are concerned, what is the commission going to do? Because they already started filling.
No, they will be filled up. They will be filled up within a few days.
As far as complaint from political party, the state government is filling up.
Oh, those filling up those posts.
Recruitment is talking
Yes,
about.
no, we mentioned to the chief secretary, and also we will see. We have asked him for a report. So let us see. Let's see. I think you can at this point of time, before we come, our power begins only when we announce the date. But you are powerful all the time. Please raise a shindy, raise a hue and cry, and make it difficult for them if they are doing something illegal.
So this report is about what?
Pardon?
This report you asked from CSE is about what?
So we have asked them, look, is there some unusual activity? For instance, we were told that there was some posts in the police, and they were not filled up in time. So then there was a ban on recruitment, which happens because if a post has not been filled for 1 year, it goes into a kind of a ban automatically. If that has been revived, it's a